when you talk about Python, one of the questions which you can ask yourself about is that why today? Why everyone is talking about Python today? How about before 10 years, before 15 years, no one was talking about this programming language? Is it a new programming language or old? No, the Python programming language is very old. It's since 1989, created by a German guy. His intention was to create something which is very easy for people to learn. This Python programming language is encouraging people nowadays to start learning or to start entering this programming field, because it's very easy. But are we going to learn something which is created before 30 years? No. So since that date, they started to provide some sort of a release version. So after 1989, they came out with one release which came 1994, and then after that another release came on 2000. That is the second release, and another release which we call it the third release, or the third version, that came 2008. So again, the same question: are we going to learn something which is created before 12 years? The answer is no. Even third version of Python, it's having also some sub-versions. So the third version is having also the 3.4, it's having 3.5, having 3.6, 3.7, and nowadays I think we have reached 3.8. So from each and every release, or each and every version, we have under it some sub-versions. And what we are going to use in this course, we will use anything which can write our program, and it should be more than 3.4. Anything 3.4 and above, it will work. There is no difference in terms of syntax between 3 and any other subversion, between Python version 3 and any other subversion. In terms of syntax, there is no any difference. Syntax, when I'm talking about syntax, I'm talking about the rule which we need to follow to write the code. So in terms of rules to follow, there is no any differences between the subversions. But yes, in terms of versions, there are some differences. So for example, between Python version 2 and Python version 3, there are some differences in terms of syntax. But when you talk about the same version with the subversions, so between, for example, 3.4 to 3.5, 3.4 to 3.6, there are no differences in terms of syntax. Why they are coming out with subversions is just to fix some bugs. So people, they will find that, for example, in 3.4 there was some bugs, they will start to solve it in 3.5, and etc, etc. So they are enhancing it, but they are not changing the syntax. But in terms of versions between Python 2.0 and 3.0, no, there are differences in terms of syntax. So if you have written a code in Python 2.0 and you want to run it in an environment which is using Python 3.0, you will not be able to execute the code. It will show some error, syntax error. So that's why today we will focus on the latest version of Python, which is 3.0, and we will not talk about the same release of 2008. No, we will use anything which is 3.4 and above. 3.4 and above, it's going to be very sufficient for our course currently. How you can download the environment? So again, environment is you can consider it like a program, where it's a place where you can run the code. It's a place where you can write the code and you can run the code. So any programming language, if you want to start writing any code, you need an environment. So the environment here for Python is default environment from Python website. So if you go to www.python.org/download, you are going to see all the releases Python. So let me show you. So if you go to python.org/downloads/windows, you are going to get all of these releases. So you will have the latest release, which is 3.8.2. you will have also, maybe if you are interested on Python 2 release 2 or version 2, you can get it also. So here you can see all the subversions. So here we have 3.7.7, 3.8.2. you can install whatever you want, as long as it is third version. And here from all of these you can select, of course, if you want to have 64-bit or if you want to have 32-bit. It depends on your operating system and hardware, of course. So you can use either this one, the executable installer, which is 64-bit, and you can use also 32-bit, which is executable installer. So it's going to be on .exe format. Use those things so that you can install it. So you can download either this one or this one based on your configuration, based on your PC. And for people who have Mac also, you can check here. If you go to download, and if you go to Linux, so if you are going to run the Python code in Linux, so there are some environment for that. And if you want to run on Mac, so you need to click here, and you can again install it based on your PC or Mac configuration. After you finish from the installation, you can just go to Start, or you can go to Search, and you can search for Python, and you are going to get this search result. Please click on here, IDLE Python, and of course here it will be written what your version, 32 or 64-bit, it depends. So don't click on GUI, don't click on command line, don't click on any other things. Please click on IDLE Python, and then here your version, and then after that your configuration. So what is the meaning of IDLE? IDLE is a shortcut of Integrated Development and Learning Environment. So this is the environment where we are going to use to build or to write our Python code. So just click on it, you will get this window, and here you will find the version which you are using. It will be written here, and you can just go to File, click on New File, drag this window to the right side, and now we are going to explain what are the purpose of these two windows. So why we have these two windows? So this window which is on the right side is going to be used to write the code. So we can write multiple lines of you know the whole program which you want to write it. We can write it here on this right side. This is what we call it a code editor. And on the left side we are going to execute the code. So for example, if I'm going to write a very simple program which is my name, and if I want to execute it, I just need to go to Run, and I will click on Run Module, or I can click on F5. If I will click on that, it will ask me to save the file, so I will save it wherever I want in my PC. So I will just choose here in this location, yeah. And as you can see, the result of this one line of code is actually this one. So it is not doing nothing, it's just printing my name which is written here between brackets. So again, we are going to write the code here on the editor, and we are going to see the result of this code here on this window, which we call it a shell. So always any programming language environment is going to have same structure. There are many environments even for Python. There are PyTorch, there are Jupyter Notebook, there are Spyder. They are all very good environments. Why we are using this one? Because this one is sufficient for whatever we're going to discuss in basics of Python. But of course, if you want to do something which is very professional, if you want to know what people they are using in the industry, they are not using mandatory this environment. They can use Jupyter Notebook or PyTorch or PyCharm, but they are all very good environment. You can use whatever you want. There are some little differences, but not in terms of syntax. We're going to see that maybe by the end of this course. Maybe I can have a bonus lecture for you to know what the difference between all of these IDLEs, but for now this is very good to go with. So this is going to be more than sufficient to start our course in basics of Python. So congratulations, you have installed the environment. Now we can go ahead and write our first code in Python.